You're standing in the baking ingredients aisle. In front of you sit 2 bags of sugar, one labeled white sugar, the other brown sugar. They both promise the same thing, sweetness. And yet your brain asks the automatic question, are these basically the same? Here's the strange truth. They start from the same place, and they even look like siblings. But a small, subtle detail changes their flavor, their feel, and the way they behave the moment heat enters the story. By the end, you'll have a 5-second rule to reach for the right one, without guessing. Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. The same beginning. Sugar before it has a color. Before sugar becomes a pantry staple, it's simply a plant doing quiet work. Sugarcane and sugar beets. Their job is simple. Store sweetness so the plant can survive. Our job is to steal that sweetness and turn it into something that pours. The sweetness comes out as juice. The juice gets clarified, heated, and concentrated until it turns glossy. Then crystals appear, tiny glittering structures that feel almost too clean to have come from dirt and fiber. At this stage, sugar isn't white or brown. It's just sugar, still carrying a darker companion that most people never name. Molasses, the small detail that changes everything. That companion is molasses, a thick brown syrup left behind during refining. It smells like caramel and toasted sugar. It tastes deeper than sweet, warm, slightly bitter, like the edge of something browned on purpose. In raw sugar, molasses isn't an add-on. It's part of the original picture. The difference between white and brown sugar often comes down to one decision: how much molasses gets removed, and whether some gets put back. It's a small adjustment, but it shifts everything. Not with a dramatic makeover, more like changing the lighting in a room and realizing the same furniture suddenly feels different. White sugar, clean, neutral sweetness. White sugar is what you get when the crystals are refined until they're almost purely sweet. The sugar is filtered, boiled, and spun to separate crystals from the darker syrup. Most molasses is removed, leaving bright, dry, free-flowing crystals that dissolve quickly and behave predictably. That predictability is why white sugar is everywhere. It sweetens coffee without turning the flavor in a new direction. It disappears into tea. It makes lemonade taste clean, not caramelized. It keeps frostings pale and vanilla cakes bright. In baking, white sugar often helps create crisp edges and lighter textures. Meringues that crack like thin porcelain, sugar cookies that snap with a clean bite. It's sweetness that knows how to step aside. Brown sugar, sweetness with depth. Brown sugar is what happens when molasses remains in the story, or returns to it. Depending on how it's made, it either retains molasses during processing or is created by mixing molasses back into refined white sugar. In many supermarkets, that add-back method is common because it stays consistent from bag to bag. The result is softer, slightly moist, and more complex. Caramel, toffee, sometimes a roasted note that reads like warmth. Brown sugar doesn't just sweeten, it adds weight. It makes a sauce taste like it has been simmering longer than it actually has. That's why it shows up in gingerbread, sticky glazes, barbecue sauces, recipes where sweetness isn't supposed to vanish. It's supposed to feel like part of the flavor's backbone. The texture you can feel. This is where you notice the difference without needing a recipe. Pour white sugar into a bowl and it runs like dry sand. Each crystal stays separate. Brown sugar behaves differently. It clumps, it packs. It can hold the shape of your fingers when you squeeze it, like damp soil that remembers your hand. That's not a flaw. That's molasses doing what it does best, holding on. Molasses is naturally sticky and moisture-loving, which means brown sugar carries a little humidity with it. And that one detail, just a little water, just a little stickiness, changes what happens in the oven. The cookie test: snap versus bend. If you've ever baked cookies, you've felt this in your teeth. White sugar tends to encourage crispness. Cookies made with more white sugar often spread and set with edges that snap cleanly. The texture feels lighter, sometimes even a little brittle. In a good way, the way a thin caramel shard breaks. Brown sugar leans the other direction. Because it holds moisture, it nudges baked goods toward chewiness. A cookie made with brown sugar is more likely to bend before it breaks. It stays soft longer. It has that comforting resistance, the texture that makes you take a second bite without thinking. This is one of sugar's quiet secrets. Sweetness is only part of what sugar does. Sugar is also an architect. It builds texture. Color and mood: what sugar does to the scene. There's another difference that shows up before you even taste anything: color. White sugar keeps desserts bright. It lets vanilla stay pale, frostings stay clean, and cakes look like they belong on a sunny table. Brown sugar shifts everything warmer. It gives baked goods a deeper shade, gold to amber to something almost mahogany, depending on the recipe. And color isn't just visual. Color is emotional. A pale sugar cookie feels crisp and playful. A dark gingerbread feels cozy and serious, like it's carrying traditions. When you choose a sugar, you're not only choosing sweetness, you're choosing the mood your food will hold. 2 shades: light versus dark brown sugar. Brown sugar comes in shades, and those shades matter. Light brown sugar has less molasses, which means a gentler caramel note and a slightly drier feel. It's great when you want warmth without dominance, like in classic chocolate chip cookies, or a soft cake where you don't want molasses to take over. Dark brown sugar contains more molasses, so the flavor is richer and deeper. It's stickier, more intense, and perfect for recipes that can handle a stronger backbone. Gingerbread, baked beans, sticky glazes, sauces that want to taste like they've been simmering for hours. Think of it like music. Light brown sugar is a soft background rhythm. Dark brown sugar is the bass line you can't ignore. Air and time: the quiet difference in storage. Now let's talk about what happens after the baking. White sugar is nearly immortal. Stored in a cool, dry place, it doesn't really spoil. It might clump if it absorbs moisture, but it remains sugar, ready to pour, ready to dissolve. Brown sugar is more high maintenance. Because it holds moisture, it can also lose it. Over time, that moisture evaporates, and brown sugar can harden into a brick the day you actually need it. The good news is that even this has a gentle fix. Seal the hardened sugar in a container with a slice of bread or a slightly damp paper towel. Give it time. The moisture migrates, and the sugar softens again. It's a tiny lesson in impermanence. Even sweetness dries out if you forget it. Brown sugar asks you to pay attention, to seal the container, to treat basic ingredients like living things that react to air and time. And when it softens again, it feels strangely satisfying, like the kitchen forgiving you for being busy. A small repair, but it brings the whole pantry back into motion. The price tag: why one is often cheaper. In many grocery stores, white sugar is cheaper and comes in bigger bags. Brown sugar can cost a little more per kilogram, partly because of that molasses step, whether it's retained or reintroduced, and partly because in some places It's treated as a specialty ingredient. But price is rarely only about taste. It's about habits. In some kitchens, brown sugar is essential, woven into sauces, marinades, and comfort desserts. In others, it's something you buy only when a recipe insists. Either way, the price tag is a reminder. Even basic ingredients live different lives depending on where you stand. The health myth: brown sugar is better. A lot of people assume brown sugar is healthier because it contains molasses, and molasses contains trace minerals like calcium, potassium, iron, and magnesium. That's technically true and practically misleading. Those minerals exist in such tiny amounts that they don't change the nutritional reality in a meaningful way. To get any real benefit, you'd have to eat an impractical amount of brown sugar, an amount your dentist and your body would protest loudly. So think of these sugars as tools, not health hacks. The difference is real, but it lives in flavor and behavior, not in a secret shortcut to wellness. The 5-second rule. Which one should you reach for? Here's the rule that works right there in the aisle. Want clean sweetness without changing flavor or color? Choose white sugar. Want warmth, moisture, and depth? Choose brown sugar. White sugar suits bright drinks, pale frostings, airy cakes, crisp cookies. Brown sugar suits chewy cookies, sticky glazes, barbecue sauces, gingerbread. And when recipes use both, they're balancing clarity with character, sweetness that shows up, and sweetness that stays out of the way. The kind of sweetness you're actually choosing. Here's what makes this whole difference feel oddly human. White sugar is not better, it's simply precise. It's sweetness that stays out of the way, the quiet friend who shows up on time and never steals the conversation. Brown sugar is not healthier, it's simply warmer. It's sweetness that carries a second note, a little history in the background, the friend who brings a story, and somehow the room feels more alive. So the next time you hold those two bags, white and brown, remember, you're not just choosing a sweetener. You're choosing texture, you're choosing color, you're choosing the feeling your food will leave behind. Are you a white sugar person, crisp, clean, and neutral? Or do you love brown sugar for that deeper, warmer sweetness with a caramel edge? Drop your choice in the comments and tell me what you use it for most. And if you like these quiet little food mysteries, consider subscribing. There are plenty more simple things hiding surprisingly good stories.